Kendall Jenner tells her mom Kris to take it easy, after Kris pointed out that she is the last sibling to have a child. Hi, before we continue, please subscribe to the channel for all Kardashians news and update. Kendall Jenner recently shared how she felt about a comment her mother, Kris Jenner, made that left her feeling a bit uncomfortable. It all happened during a new episode of their family's reality show, where the Kardashian-Jenner family came together for a special dinner. The gathering took place at Kylie Jenner's home, and the food was served by Nobu, one of the family's favorite restaurants. The whole event was meant to be a time of love, family bonding, and celebration. Kris, being the mother of the famous siblings, looked happy to be surrounded by her children and her grandchildren. However, the topic of babies came up again, and things took a turn that caught Kendall's attention. During a private moment on camera, Kris talked about how thankful she was for everything happening in her life. She mentioned how the year had been filled with joy and blessings. She even spoke about how she had faced a few scary health moments that made her worry, but she was thankful to have made it through safely. One of the biggest things that made her happy was the arrival of Kourtney Kardashian-Barker's new baby boy, named Rocky. She talked about how grateful she felt that the baby was born safely and how blessed the family was to welcome him. But in the middle of sharing her happiness, Kris added a small comment that many viewers felt was directed at Kendall. She said that even though many of her children already had kids, she still had one child who hadn't had a baby yet, Kendall. She ended her confessional by saying, "So you never know," leaving the door open for the idea of more grandkids in the future. This little comment, even though it might have seemed harmless to some, did not go unnoticed by Kendall. Kendall, who wasn't at the dinner, later responded to her mother's remark while speaking in her own confessional on the show. She seemed a little shocked and clearly thought her mom was being a bit too much with the comment. She reacted by saying that Kris was making things really awkward and added that she seriously needed to relax. It was a funny but honest response that showed how Kendall felt about the pressure being put on her about starting a family. This wasn't the first time the topic of pregnancy and children had come up between Kris and her daughters. Earlier in the same season, Kris had a heart-to-heart conversation with her oldest daughter, Kourtney Kardashian, who is now 45 years old. During their chat, Kourtney asked her mom a very emotional question. She asked if Kris felt sad that she would never be pregnant again. The moment touched a soft spot for Kris, and she couldn't hold back her emotions. As soon as Kourtney asked the question, Kris started to tear up and told her daughter not to make her cry. Kris explained that pregnancy was one of the most beautiful experiences in her life. She especially remembered her first pregnancy, which was with Kourtney. She even gave her daughter a cute nickname, calling her, "My Little Pepper." Kris joked that she didn't expect Kourtney to turn out so strong-willed, saying, "Well yeah, you turned out really spicy." Kourtney laughed and reminded her mom that it probably had to do with her star sign. She proudly said, "I'm an Aries. I'm a spice." That small exchange showed the loving and humorous relationship between the mother and daughter. Kris Jenner is a proud mother to 6 children. Her daughters are Kourtney, Kim, Khloe, Kendall, and Kylie. She also has a son named Rob. Each of her children has made headlines in their own way, building successful careers and starting families. Kendall, however, is the only one among the siblings who has not had a baby yet. This fact has been brought up more than once by Kris, and it seems like she is very open about hoping that Kendall might decide to have kids in the future. Kendall, who is 28 years old, has often talked about how she is taking her time when it comes to starting a family. Unlike her sisters, she tends to be more private and careful with her decisions, especially ones that would change her life forever. She is focused on her modeling career, traveling, and living her life at her own pace. So, whenever her mom brings up the idea of her having children, Kendall doesn't hesitate to speak her mind. This most recent episode showed a clear difference between how Kris and Kendall feel about the idea of having babies. Kris, as a mom and grandmother, is full of excitement when it comes to family. She sees having more grandkids as something that brings joy and purpose. On the other hand, Kendall sees it as a serious decision that she's not ready to rush into. This difference in opinion between mother and daughter is not unusual in many families, and it shows how even in famous households, people still face normal family conversations and pressure. It's easy to see that Kris Jenner deeply loves being a mother and grandmother. Her joy grows with every new baby in the family. She seems to feel a strong connection to the experience of motherhood, and it's something she misses now that her pregnancy years are behind her. That could explain why she sometimes brings up the topic of babies around Kendall. For Kris, it might feel like a natural part of family life, while for Kendall, it may feel like pressure she doesn't want right now. Kendall has always been known as the calm and more quiet one in the family. She is someone who likes to enjoy her freedom and live life in her own way. Her modeling career keeps her very busy, and she spends a lot of time traveling and working on international projects. With all that going on, it makes sense that she isn't rushing into motherhood. She has mentioned before that she wants to make sure the time is right and that she feels fully ready before taking that step. What made this moment on the show even more relatable was how honest both Kendall and Kris were. Even though Kris's comment may have seemed a bit much, it came from a place of love. And Kendall's reaction showed how important it is to speak up when something feels uncomfortable, even with family. Their conversation, even though it was brief and happened in separate confessional clips, reminded many people watching that family dynamics can sometimes be tricky. There's often pressure in families about life choices, especially when it comes to things like getting married or having children. For someone like Kendall, who is constantly in the public eye, that pressure can feel even heavier. The fact that this moment was shown on television shows the family's willingness to be open about their real feelings, even when they don't always agree. Kris might dream of having even more grandchildren, but she also respects each of her children's journeys. She may make lighthearted comments or even emotional ones, but in the end, she wants the best for all of them. Her dream of seeing Kendall become a mom one day is simply one more way she expresses her love for her kids. At the same time, Kendall's response is a healthy reminder that everyone moves at their own speed, and not everyone has the same goals at the same time. This episode also gave fans another glimpse into the everyday moments that make the Kardashian-Jenner family feel more like everyone else. Despite the luxury, fame, and cameras, they go through normal family experiences, too. There are celebrations, new babies, emotional talks, and even awkward comments at dinner. All these pieces come together to show the human side of the family, which is why so many people continue to follow their story. As the season continues, it will be interesting to see how this conversation between Kendall and Kris develops. Maybe one day, Kendall will feel ready to become a mother, or maybe she'll decide that her life is just fine the way it is. Thanks for watching. Please do well to share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more Kardashian updates.